Nathan, I gotta start with you. And this Dominick is such a unique character because, in a way, Dominick and Leslie are both our way into this story. How did you approach what his motivation was in getting to the bottom of this?
This was his territory. These kinds of crimes amongst the rich and famous. I think he, like everybody else, initially saw this as two spoiled rich kids, who he thought were sociopaths who killed their parents strictly for the inheritance money. And then, it becomes a far more complicated case when you start to examine what their home life was like and what was going on underneath that picture-perfect house and lifestyle in Beverly Hills. So, he thinks he has it figured out, and then he starts to look at things, and he did really go to a realtor and got into the real Menendez home and looked it over, and he was a writer. So there were aspects of this that he invented, where he said they were sitting there eating ice cream.
Berries and cream.
Berries and cream.
Was not true and was never proven, but that became...
But that became a part of it. People thought that they were asleep when they were shot. But he had his own viewpoint on this and his own theories. And because of the trial of John Sweeney, who murdered his daughter Dominique, that changed everything for him. It was a real turning point, personally and professionally, because then he wrote about it for Vanity Fair and became the voice of Vanity Fair. Even though publicly, when he would go on court TV, he would say he didn't believe at all that they were sexually molested. But I think privately he did, or at least he had grave doubts after listening to their testimony. And he, his own father had beat him brutally as a child and told him he was a sissy, and I mean really brutally beat him. So I think he could certainly relate to what had gone on, but he didn't. He would sort of publicly he wouldn't say that.
Well, Ari, Leslie has this great tone that you bring to every scene with the boys, but there's almost that motherly side of it as well. How did you approach her? Because it's a really fascinating take for this character.
Well, thanks for saying that. Yeah, you know how sometimes you can meet a person across the room and you feel like you know them or you just get them. It's like falling in love or something. You go like, there's something about you I see and I get, and now tell me everything about you. And I think there was a sense of that with Leslie, that it was like I saw a picture and I was like, okay, I got it. I mean, I didn't really. I had to do like months and months of work and a lot of self-doubt through the months to figure it all out and hold it. But there was some essence of her where I felt I understood. I understood how she could hold these different parts of herself, that ferocity and power and intellect and charisma and. I mean, she was really one in a million and had this very maternal mama bear. And, the first thing I ever read for Monsters was from when I was auditioning, and it was 2 scenes, and one of the scenes was in the adoption office where you first meet her. And so to read that scene and see that was her introduction, where she's talking about how she sees what happens when kids don't get the nurturing they need, and that our prisons are filled with, I think the line was, our prisons are filled with sad, wounded souls who never felt loved enough. And it was such a profound and moving insight and way to introduce her that it told me so much about how she was going to be held in this story. And I just wanted to do everything I could to try to capture her essence and do her justice, because she was just so wonderful.
Well, thank you both so much for the time. You're both amazing. This is a tremendous story.
Thank you very much.